Hi team, hi. Interesting location for tonight's live. What's going on here? So I had arranged with another local business to do Facebook Live tonight for Confessions of a Conveyancer, and as I pulled up and was walking down the street with my tripod and my lights, they had to cancel. So that's really unfortunate, and that's small business. I get that. It's a funny time of year, but it meant that I was in the middle of nowhere near my office, nowhere near my home, and I wanted to still make sure that I met my 8 o'clock deadline with you. So here I am in the next closest car park I could find, hoping that we get enough light and it's not too noisy, so we can do the live. And I'm sorry if it is a bit noisy, but it's like 32 degrees still, so I still really wanted to make sure that I got some air while I did it. So hopefully not too loud. I'm in the Bunnings car park. This is the only car park I could find in the middle of where we were. But anyway, I am here. I apologize, we didn't have our other location. They cancelled within minutes, but I'm coming to you live. And also, look, it's actually probably not a bad thing that they cancelled, because I had something today that popped up that I really wanted to share with you, and a little bit of a misconception what's going on right now. So if you're worried about finance, so why haven't you got your finance approval? Why hasn't finance been approved yet? What's going on there? I wanted to get real with you and talk about, how long it actually takes to get finance approval these days. So we had the Royal Commission into banking. We had this global financial crisis. Banks were giving away money too easily, and that created all the problems with people going bankrupt, first home buyers who couldn't pay back their loans, and that's a lot of where the crisis generally came from. So the Royal Commission made it really strict for people to get loans. There's a strict criteria, but it's for good reason. It makes sure that the banks aren't giving out loans for high risk applicants. So there was a time when it was really easy to lend money. I can honestly say that when I lent money when I was 23, I think I got my first mortgage. It was super easy. It was crazy easy to get money. It's not like that now. And you need to remember that you need to expect that it often can take 2 to 3 weeks to get finance approval. Now, that doesn't matter how strong your financial situation is. If the bank needs to do a valuation on a property, you really need to allow that 2 to 3 weeks grace period. So don't be alarmed at all if you're selling your home and a purchaser says that it needs to take that long to get the approval. Don't be alarmed that shows that the purchaser isn't genuine at all. I can see a few of you watching, and I'm sorry I'm in the car. I kind of got a little bit shafted with the location today. It's a little bit noisy. Can you just type in the comments and let me know that you can hear me properly? I appreciate you jumping in. Albury, I probably didn't choose the best place to park, but unfortunately I was kind of short on time and I'm here. So we're just talking a little bit about, you need to really understand it and be okay that it takes a good 2 or 3 weeks to get finance approval. So don't be stressed out about that. It's not a reflection on your finance application. It's not a reflection on, how strong your finance is, if there's any credit problems. It's really just a reflection on what's going on out there in the banking industry. They have to go through so many hurdles, jump over so many obstacles these days to get finance approval, that it takes that long. And if you're selling a home, it can be really frustrating thinking that you've sold the home to a genuine purchaser, and then it's taking a good 2 or 3 weeks for them to get an answer on finance. And one of the hardest things it really is for the consumers to wrap their head around is, often a bank needs to value a property. So what that means is the bank said, yes, we're going to lend you a certain amount of dollars, but that's subject to the property being valued to at least the amount that you're purchasing it for. So you're purchasing a property for $500,000. The bank's going to value it to make sure it's worth $500,000. And the reason that they're doing that is because they really can't afford to lend you more money for a property that's not worth as much as what you're paying. They can't take that risk that if they had to sell the property, they wouldn't be able to recoup that money. One of the girls that works for me just drove past. Hi, Charlotte. She just paused and was wondering, what is Peter doing in the Bunnings car park doing her live? And speaking about valuations, what I really want to let you know is a lot of people will say, well, if it takes 2 to 3 weeks to get your finance approval, why are people not getting their finance approval before they are committing to properties? And it's actually really not their fault. So you can get pre-approval. The bank can say, yes, your loan is approved, subject to evaluation. But what the issue is now is that most banks won't actually carry out a valuation on the property until they can see that everybody has signed the contracts. So I'm just going to rewind. You can't get finance approval until a property has been valued. Now that's 90% of the time. Unless you're borrowing less than 80% of the value, you've got to get a valuation. So let's just say that's the majority of people, you have to get a valuation. So the bank won't give you final approval until you have a valuation, but the banks won't do the valuation until contracts have been entered into. All right, so there's the catch there. So what you need to make sure is that you are making an offer, even if you've got approval, subject to finance, so that when you exchange contracts, the bank can then go ahead and do that valuation. Then when that valuation is done after you've exchanged contracts in that period of finance time, if the valuation doesn't come back in an amount that adds up to the same as the purchase price, then you can get out of the contract and get your deposit back. So it's just about having a little bit of knowledge about what's going on in the finance industry so that you can be a little bit more empathetic and be ready for what's going on. So if you're a purchaser, be okay that you're not going to get unconditional finance approval until you've signed the contract usually, and until a valuation's been done. So you just have to let your conveyancer, solicitor and real estate agent know that you really do need a finance clause for that reason. Get your pre-approval first. If you're a vendor and you're selling, you just need to be a little bit more understanding that it's really hard to get unconditional contracts these days, as most banks won't do those valuations for the purchasers until they've exchanged contracts. Okay, listen, any good lender will be able to explain this to you. I realize it's really frustrating, but it's really because of the Royal Commission's really started to knuckle down and make sure that people aren't taking and banks aren't taking as many risks as they were back when we had the global financial crisis. So that's me from the Bunnings car park. I am sorry that we didn't get to do the planned live with the local business that I had hooked up, but they had to cancel on the last minute, and sometimes that's small business, but it means I was kind of in a rock and a hard place, but I was determined to come to you at 8 o'clock. So here I am. Terrible lighting, noise. I really hope you could hear me. Now it's time for a confession. And as I was pulling up, I thought of I'm going to get into trouble for this one. We've been getting lots of little gifts at work, obviously this time of year, and we really appreciate it. And we've kind of been putting them all together, ready to divvy out on the last day, which works well because I often get, little bits of things that I don't like, and I really like that everyone else gets them. My confession is, girls, yes, ladies that work for me, I am the one that ate all the little dog Scotch finger biscuits. Those little ones that Charlotte bought that look like Scotch dogs, and they're so good. That's my confession. Gang, thank you for joining me from this unorthodox location. But I really hope that you got something out of this, and it's just a chance to just be a little bit more understanding of what's going on so you can make better decisions when you're looking into your finance options. All right. One more week to the Christmas rush. We shut next week. Anyway, I hope you are all looking after yourselves in this silly season. Thanks for jumping on. I just realized I'm very Christmassy in my outfit today. Thank you, gang. Always a pleasure to see you. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.